I have chosen Sliding Doors, which I'm not going to be dramatic, but I think it actually changed my life when I watched this movie.
I think it changed my brain chemistry when I watched it as a teenager.
Yeah, because it came out in 1998 when I was 7. So I don't think I watched it when I was 7. Yeah. I feel like my mum and I watched it when it was on TV when I was 12. And it just really makes you think about the small things that happen throughout your day that shape your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
big time.
Do you remember the song Aqua Turn Back Time?
Yes.
And the video was always on MTV and it was like their first serious song after Barbie Girl.
Yeah.
So I remember being like, oh my God, the Aqua is so cool now. And like being obsessed with Gwyneth's hair.
Yeah.
I had that. It's unfortunate, but I had that haircut in 98, 99.
The blonde, short haircut?
It wasn't blonde, but it was short.
Oh my God.
I was inspired by Victoria Beckham in the Stop video. But
amazing.
Mostly I went to an absolute butcher and it was dreadful.
No, that's a bold move going for that haircut.
And it wasn't like I even had the bone structure for it. I was like 13.
Like, I'm doing it.
I was just like, I'm doing it. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, Sliding Doors, a great film. Slightly depressing, but we'll roll with it. Very 90s.
It's very 90s. And I just think London in the 90s, everybody's smoking inside the restaurants. They're all wearing like polo necks and leather blazers and really thin eyebrows.
So thin. Oh my God.
It's just a vibe. It's just so caught in this time capsule. It's so enjoyable to watch. And I'd say it wasn't even that expensive to make because they're just kind of in the same area.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you everything. So Sliding Doors, 1998. It was written and directed by a guy called Peter Howitt. So he hadn't done much at this point. And he kind of became obsessed with making this film. And it took him 7 years to actually get it made from when he had the idea. And he had the idea when he was crossing a road in London and he nearly got knocked down. He just kind of scooted across the road and he was like, oh my God, what if it had been a second later? I'd be dead, or my life would be, if I was alive, my life would be completely different. So it took him 7 years to get it made. He basically had a nervous breakdown because the funding fell through like 5 times, and he was just like, my life's mission is to get this film made. So eventually John Hannah, who is one of the love interests in the film, James, he got in touch with Hollywood star Sidney Pollack, and he actually managed to get it funded.
Oh, no way.
In the end. So good old John Hannah, a very unlikely romantic hero, I think. But yeah, it took him the whole 7 years, and the film was a relative financial success. So it was made for £6 million and it made 67 million. So if you make 10 times your budget, you're doing pretty well. And yeah, thank God for Peter Howitt that he got it made. He didn't do much after it. He's known for Johnny English, the Mr. Bean spy film, and a terrible Pierce Brosnan and Julianne Moore rom-com called The Laws of Attraction. You probably haven't seen it because it's bad.
Okay.
I've never seen two people have less chemistry. He peaked with Sliding Doors. Well, fair play to him. I mean, that's a labour of love.
Definitely. And I was actually like, I had to Google what age Gwyneth Paltrow was. So she was 24.
Yes.
Was she the Gwyneth Paltrow then?
Yes. She was. She'd been in a couple of films, most notably Seven, where she met Brad Pitt.
Okay.
And they became an item and they got engaged. So she was kind of known as, she was a nepo baby. Her parents were both in the business, and her being with Brad Pitt kind of elevated her profile. And then she shot Emma, the Jane Austen adaptation, where she also had a very good English accent. Fair play to her. That was in 1997. That was produced by Harvey Weinstein. And later on, she would say that she'd been sexually harassed by him on the set of that film, and that Brad Pitt warned him off. And then in 2017, she was one of the sources of the New York Times stories. She was the main source that eventually took him down.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So if you haven't seen the film She Said, it's based on the Harvey Weinstein scandal. It's absolutely brilliant. Quite depressing, but as most films about women's rights are. But Gwyneth is herself in it, and she talks about basically telling people what he was like.
And when did that come out? Like well before Me Too and everything?
No, so Me Too was 2017. The film came out, I think, 2020 or 2021. Okay. So it's the story of the two journalists who wrote the article that took him down.
Okay.
When journalists had power.
Yeah.
There's no budget for power anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, she was Gwyneth Paltrow, but she hadn't won her Oscar yet. That came the following year. She won for Shakespeare in Love, which I haven't seen. Have you seen that?
Never.
No, I must give it a watch. I just remember she wore a pink Prada dress and cried a lot when she won her Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
And that was kind of the peak.
Yeah.
And of course now she's Goop.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah,
like
she's just such a legend. I think some people don't know how to take her.
Yeah.
And you kind of just have to like embrace her.
She still loves a cigarette.
Yeah.
And still loves a drink. Yeah. She's like, I do. She's like, I put crystals in my vagina and I make vagina scented candles, but I still like to smoke once a week.
Smoke. Yeah.
No, she's a bit of a gas bitch. Like I said, John Hannah was a bit of a low key choice to play James, the love interest. So he was like a steadily working Scottish actor. He played another man called James in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Do you remember him in that?
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
He's half of the gay couple.
Yeah.
And they're out, as in like all their friends know, but they're not really out to their families. And then his partner dies and he recites that famous poem, Stop All the Clocks. at the funeral, and like it's an amazing like what would you call it, a soliloquy. It's an amazing kind of speech that he gives, and it just kind of shows his range. And then he got quite popular off the back of that. He's in the Mummy films, a bit of a little action hero in that, but he's never kind of ascended to the heights. He's still kind of a jobbing actor these days.
I just didn't know how I felt about him watching the movie, you know, like
same.
He's a bit full on, isn't he? A bit cringe as well. Like, you know, he's this like Jack the Lad, you know, at the dinner party scenes, he's the one telling all the stories, making everyone laugh. But I was like, if this wasn't a movie, would he be a bit annoying? Yeah. And he's not even really that hot.
Oh, he's not hot at all, no.
No, okay, thanks. I didn't want to seem harsh. I was going to be like, he's in bits, but I just was like, Gwyneth Paltrow and this guy.
I know. Well, both guys are not up to Gwyneth's standards.
No, the first guy,
Sherry.
He wrecks my head.
So let's talk about the film. So it's set in London, like you said. The Tube plays a starring role in the film. So we'll get to that in a second, but there's a lot of black cabs, there's a lot of red phone boxes, there's a lot of landlines, because in 1998 mobiles weren't very common. So
and they're all like slamming down the landline. I love that. It's way more dramatic than just pressing hang up.
I know,
it's way
but
more
they're
fun.
really shit, like white plastic landlines.
I know, and I was thinking that about the payphones as well. They're frantically looking for a payphone and seeing.
I know. And do you think a lot of the action of this film wouldn't have happened if they were able to reach each other more easily?
Yeah, I thought that. And also, like, not to give too much away or whatever, but
we can give it away. We're a spoilery podcast.
Yeah, okay, good. You can't. I don't know how anyone could possibly think they'll get away with an affair in 2025 with social media, CCTV, like just everything.
Getting onto the government.
Yeah, like where was he? But like they could just get away with murder, like no one could get onto each other,
and no one knows where anyone is. Like they say they're going somewhere, and you just have to believe them.
It blows my mind that like my mum was telling me that on a Monday her friends would be like, okay, we'll meet in the pub on Friday at 8, and you just wouldn't speak all week and just turn up. Like that gives me anxiety.
I know.
I'm like texting people, what are you wearing? Send me a picture of your outfit. Are you on the way? Yeah.
I know. But I think we're now it's gone too far.
It's too far.
The other way.
Too much. Like, I feel too easily contactable.
Yeah. Are you a location sharer?
If I'm on the way to like my friends and stuff.
Yeah, well, Joe and I share ours all the time.
Oh, do you now?
It's a bit weird, but also very reassuring.
Yeah.
Like he knows that if I'm out on the lock, he can kind of see where I am.
Yeah.
And he said that once he looked and I was obviously like whizzing down the keys in a taxi, and he was like, right, she's
okay, grand. She's definitely not running.
And like I have nothing to hide. So,
exactly.
But I can see why people will be a bit icked by it. Like my whole family actually shares our location. Really? I think except my mom.
If I have kids, I will do that for sure, whether they want to or not.
I don't know how anyone like raises children in this day and age.
I know.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. So we will be putting a low jack on them.
Yes.
Absolutely, in the future. A sliding doors moment is a really fascinating thing. Like, and the fact that that's become, a pop culture
a phrase as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, because my mum and I would always say that. We're like, sliding doors, you just never know.
And that's the thing, like, what if you didn't, like, do you ever feel that with like Jamie? Like, do you feel like you were ever meant to meet him? Yeah. Because there's so many times I could have met Joe. Yeah. And probably even did. Like, he used to work in Barcode.
Stop.
So he definitely served me a fat frog at one point in my life. Like, so, and I just feel like, like now when we look back, we were definitely at the same gigs.
Yeah, there's another thing that's like the invisible string theory. Yes. And it's like you're always supposed to meet the person. And there was definitely a few times where Jamie and I nearly met, or he delivered wine to Rob's house and I answered the door and like ran away. And then like he like messaged me and I didn't message him back. I'm sorry, Jamie. But yeah, I do feel that. And also, like, not to lower the mood, but I think when the Twin Towers happened, there were so many people who were supposed to be on that flight.
Yes, that weren't.
And like there was a man in New York who was rushing to get to work, and his shoes were like cutting the back of his feet. So he went to a cobbler. Yeah, and then he still goes there every year to like thank them for the fact that his appointment was the reason he wasn't in work for that awful day.
There were even people who were like in the forecourt as opposed to in their office because they were running late. Yeah. Like it is that like split second stitch of time kind of thing. So
even if you're getting every red light on your way to a destination, it could be for some reason that you need to be there 10 minutes later for like whatever reason.
I mean, how fucked up is poor Helen going to be though after everything she's been through with Jerry and Lydia?
She's going to need more than
she's going to need some therapy.
Like,
like I also think there's no right time to meet the right person either.
Yeah, no.
Like I could have done with a few months before I met Joe, but at the same time it's like, you know, you can't, where you are now is where you're kind of meant to be.
Exactly.
And if you're in a shitty spot now, hopefully you won't be soon. Like I think it's hopeful, even though poor Helen too snuffs it.
Yeah,
it's hopeful in the end.
It is, and it really is one of those movies that stays with you and makes you think.